morning, everybody. It is October 12th. I'm Jane Johnston with the Briar Hill Group at Remax Coast. I'm here on the Victoria Real Estate Show with...
Hey, everybody. It's Andrew Plank here with Roy LePage and the Vibe Real Estate Group. It's so good to see you, Jane, and be here again. Yeah. I have a nap now. No.
we often work late, so yes. People don't understand that.
It's a candle that gets burnt on both ends and the sides as well. So
I woke up at 4:50 to go rowing, and we have heavy fog today.
Yeah.
Can you see it from your place?
Yeah. I woke up and looked out the door or out the window and didn't see it. Just like blanket of fog everywhere. It's kind of beautiful. It's kind of like really surreal. I kind of enjoy it.
Ethereal.
Ethereal is yeah, for sure. That'd be really strange to be rowing through. Just
well, you can't. You can't.
Oh, okay.
But I drove downtown because where I am, it's all clear in Machosen. And then as I hit Telecom, it was like boom. And I was like, oh, okay. So it wasn't a surprise. There's Ginger, the wonder dog. Hello.
So we had a great guest last week. That was really a lot of fun, and had some really great guests lately. So, folks, remember to watch for our upcoming shows and watch for what could be coming up, because we've got some other good ones coming. Today we're talking about what landlords can do to increase rent. There's a couple of different options available to them. So, Jane, this was your topic. Do you want to talk a little more about it?
Yeah, so during COVID, rentals were frozen, and then the increase, I think, is 2% this year. And so what that means is a lot of landlords actually, and also with interest rates, to hold on to a rental property is a bit challenging right now. So there is an opportunity if you want to do some capital improvements on your property that you can apply, and you have to apply for a rental increase. So we'll go through the details, but first let's do the stats.
Yes.
All right. Do you want to start us off?
Yeah. So today is October 12th, 2023. And in the last week, we had 255 properties go live on the MLS. We had 91 properties from the pool of properties available went pending. So that's obviously a net increase in properties on the market. There was 146 properties out of that pool of properties decreased in price. So again, we're seeing quite a large percentage of price decreases compared to new listings. It's kind of a new stat we've been really noticing lately. Price increases 3, back on markets 2, sold 83. 52 properties expired in the last week. So again, adding to that number that's coming off the market, and 5 properties were withdrawn. If we compare to the week before, this week was 255, last week 241. So slight increase in new listings, slight decrease in properties going pending, 91 this last week, 105 the week before, 160 price decreases the week before, so versus 146, and price increases around the same, back on markets, nominal 3 and 2. Sold 251, but that would have been a lot of sales line up with end of the month. Not surprising. 88 properties expired. So a number of properties expired. Those also tend to line up with end of the month.
36% for last week, and 43% for last week, and 36% list to sale ratio this week.
List to sale, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm finding with my buyers, I'm finding that although the inventory is creeping up, what they're interested in is still not hitting for them. So they're still waiting. They're still watching. There's a little more, there's less urgency to just pick something or pick anything before, the inventory is all gone and the prices go up. That's no longer around. So buyers are willing to look a little longer, look a little more carefully, lift up the hood, kick the tires, and just wait for that right one to come along.
Yeah, basically what it means is if you ask to see 10 properties right now, uh 3 or 4 are going to be sold. So you're not going to feel the urgency you did before when we asked to see 10 properties and 9 were sold.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's a different strategy here, and buyers are trying it on with coming in with lowball offers, but you do have to look and see where the listing agents price the property, because
Yeah.
some are very well priced and the agent is aware of I winked of how they're pricing the property, and so expect some will be not flexible or inflexible because they have priced it properly.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because the subjective feeling for a seller, I'm finding some sellers. I've had conversations with sellers around price point, and no, we're not going to move our price. And then when they see what's happening in the market, they do make some changes. Others just are going to definitely hold still. But after a price change, sometimes people think that shows blood in the water, and then they're going to bring an even lower offer, and that's usually not going to fly, especially if it's brought other interest anyway. So you're just throwing your hat in the ring with other
I
people who
think
are willing to pay that price, the actual asking price.
we're going to be moving into more subject to sale territory
Oh yeah,
soon. Like if sellers do want their price, they're going to have to take a subject to sell.
yeah,
So that because buyers are going to have to, we may even see some daisy chains or dominoes where we're waiting for that one property to sell and then it'll flip all the rest. Um,
yes,
and that's okay. It just means if you know what you're looking for and you find it, then you're going to have to offer the people who you are, uh, whose property you want, a higher price than if you
yes,
wait.
exactly. So we just had this experience recently with some offers, and multiple offers on this property, but all but one were under asking price, and the one that was at asking price was the one that was the subject to sale. And
Did you take it?
we did, and unfortunately, it fell apart.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah. So that's the other thing.
yeah, the subject to sale uh, was subject to these people selling a property, and then that property did not sell in the time that they'd given, which was really just a week because they had an offer on their place. So it's a little more complex than a standard subject to sale, but
Right.
they're still in the wings, and they may come back.
Okay. Yeah. So that's what we're talking about, the daisy chain there. So the first offer on their property didn't go through. Same thing happened with us. And then they got a backup offer. So it happens. And, part of it is preparing your sellers to understand how the market's changing, it has to do with storytelling as a listing agent. I find like this is the story of what happened to my client who overpriced her house. This was the story of my client who accepted a subject to sale offer.
Yeah, war stories or tales of what's happened. These are essentially anecdotes about what we've experienced in the market at different times, so people have an understanding of what could happen for them, and sort of a preview. And hopefully, we get the best possible story and a fairy tale ending, but it doesn't always happen that way. So it's really important to also have those conversations and let people.
The other thing is, you and I have been through now at least one cycle, almost 2 cycles.
Yeah, more than one.
And it's interesting because I've been dealing with some realtors who are newer to real estate, and I'm finding they're using tactics that would work in a fast market, like very aggressive, and the negotiation is about like pounding the offer through. Like I feel like it's coming in like this.
Well, I think
And
it's like anybody when you can't change people, and people have to come to um, their own understandings and conclusions around things, and that's just the way it is. And we've already been through these things, so we're kind of adapting more quickly, I think, to what we're seeing in the marketplace. Whereas others, it's the only market they've known was the fast-paced market, so they're still using that one you know, when the only tool you have is a hammer, every problem looks like a nail.
Exactly. Yeah, so, like, you're gonna get more with being conciliatory, if that's how you say it, conciliatory,
Conciliatory. Stay with
and
me.
with sugar than you are with spice right
Yeah,
now.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
Okay, let's compare this week to last week. So net unconditional sales for October 2022 were 480. And we were kind of in a down market. We're at 118 now, one third of the way through the month. So we might not meet that record from
I don't think we will.
last
Yeah,
year. And that's compared to 493 for September of 2023. So I have a feeling October is going to follow more of our normal curve. So fast September, slower October.
for sure. And then followed by a slower November, and then followed that by a further slower December.
Yeah.
And so that's where, you know, I've been coaching my buyers now to say, you know, we may not be, you know, there isn't actually an urgency, and we may see more selection in the fall, in the spring. And that being said, when the right property comes along, is the time to buy it, you know, now or then. But for sellers, certainly, I'm telling my sellers, you know, you should be listing now as opposed to wait, because we don't know what the spring will bring. It may be busier, but busier relative to what? Relative to a really slow December. But could we be slower than we are right now? And we don't really know. And values.
We had a bit of a run on the market last year when we had a steady interest rate in the spring, and that's what our guest last week was saying. He's expecting things to kind of even out. But anyway, okay, so new listings.
No, and that's true.
New listings were at 336. That's compared to 998 for October of 2022. And last month we had 1,297. So I'm thinking we're going to be lower on the new listings too.
Yeah, I mean, we're kind of on 336 at one third of the way into the month, times 3 ends up being pretty much 1,000, you know, a little over 1,000. So we're pretty close if we stay consistent through the month, but we will probably see new listings slowing down as we hit further into October as well. So we may get to 900. What do you think?
I think it's possible we'll hit 900, but we'll be less than September, which was 1,257.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And active listings were at 2,679, and that is just 20 lower than last month at 2,699, and we're up year over year by about 500 already.
Yep.
So okay. So the reason why I was looking this, I kind of fell onto this. You know, right now
it's a question many landlords are probably asking themselves, because especially if you're on a variable rate mortgage and you have tenants that have been paying a consistent amount, as you see your mortgage rates going up month over month with these interest rates, you're probably asking yourself, how do I make this work? Especially if it's an investment property, but even if it's just a suite in your home, you're kind of dependent on that income.
Yeah. And yeah, so I was going to say, let's just give it some context. Like, I think right now landlords are kind of perceived as evil. They are probably struggling, and as exactly what you were saying. And so at the fact that the rental market, it is still low. There's a low vacancy rate. However, I am finding it harder to rent. We have a rental up in Shawnigan we're not getting a lot of action on that. So I have to, I'm going to have to lower the rent on that probably.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, and then I still have to pay the mortgage on that. So I was kind of looking around trying to figure out like what's going on. There's nothing in here that actually applies to that rental, but there is an opportunity for people if they are looking to increase their.
And, I mean, I would caution this when we say opportunity. It's not like, I mean, there's a lot of restrictions on how this works, and a lot of, you know, it's not just carte blanche. You can't just do some repairs, and then claim capital expenditures. There's a lot of restrictions on how this is, and then there's calculator, and then you have to go through the application process. But it is a road it is an option, and it is a path that's worth exploring.
Right. And so, like, for instance, we have a tenant who has in-floor radiant heating, in-floor, heaters, but
Yeah.
they're not on the wall. They're electric. It's kind of like a blow dryer in the floor, and they're very inefficient.
Yeah.
So, we've been thinking, should we put a little ductless heat pump in there? That would level out the temperature and probably lower the costs as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, a landlord may apply if they've incurred eligible capital expenditures where the rental unit is located. And so they're eligible if they are a replacement of a major system or major components for the following reasons. One is to maintain the residential property in a state of repair to comply with health, safety, and housing standards.
Mhm.
Or that has failed, is malfunctioning, is inoperative, or at the end of its useful life.
Mhm.
Or it achieves a reduction in energy use or greenhouse gas emissions, and that includes an improvement in the security of the property. So I know I remember how I got in touch with this. We were talking about installing heat pumps, and
Mhm.
how if you live in the property, you can get a grant. And then I found this, that if you have a rental, you could get a grant.
I see. Okay. Yeah, and that's the other side of this, folks, too, is like there's the ability to increase your rent due to capital expenditures, but there's also grants out there that can be had for especially things that help to reduce environmental, the energy costs.
Yeah. So you have to have incurred this expense within the last 18 months, and they're not going to be ongoing recurring costs. And you have to have the work complete before you apply. And then
That's the scary part for, I think, anybody who's, again, I wouldn't suggest you do this as a business plan, but if you were planning to do it, then you just know that you could possibly get an increase in rent. I wouldn't plan to do this work in order to get an increase in rent. I would ask for an increase in rent after doing this work because you're aware that that's another tool available to you.
Yes, well, that's the way it works. So you do have to wait. Yeah, and there's no guarantee.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I'm saying. Don't do it because you think you're going to help. It's going to be a good business plan where it's going to be a return on investment for doing this work.
Yeah. So you have to do something together with the electrical system, mechanical, structural, or any system that's integral to the rental property.
Hmm.
And examples are replacement of a roof that's at the end of its life, updating to single pane windows in a rental building, or installing a new boiler for the building. And then I didn't.
So it sounds like those heaters might be, eligible for that replacement based on the fact that you can increase efficiency, that they're probably end of useful life, they're outdated, obsolete, that kind of thing. But again, it's an application process. It's a bit obscure as to, in advance as to whether or not you're going to get reimbursed.
Yeah, so you have to apply for a notice of hearing package, and then you have a teleconference with that the tenants can actually participate in, and then they set out the eligible rent increase. And the landlord then must provide the notice of rent increase, and that's a 3-month notice now.
Mm-hmm.
And then the formula sets it out. So you can the additional maximum rental increase is 3% per phase plus the annual rent increase. So it would be this year it would have been 5%.
Yeah. I think something else to keep in mind is that, a rent increase is allowed if both the landlord and tenant agree to it as well. And if there are things in your suite that the tenant has asked for you to do, whether it's like, can you put in a heat pump? Can you paint the walls? Can you, whatever it is, there's an opportunity for a conversation around an increase in rent as is related to that. That's outside of this, as long as everyone mutually agrees. So these things are negotiable as well. You can't arbitrarily raise your rent in your tenancy, but if the tenant is asking you or would benefit from some things, there might be a conversation to have with them where they would just voluntarily agree to pay more rent for the added benefit of
Okay, well, just to correct something, if annually you can increase the rent.
yes, you can. Yes.
And so, but you're saying if in addition or other than that, there's an opportunity. Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So you do have to go to a hearing. Your tenant can be there. And then they also look at, they have a formula. So they're looking at, it factors in the amount of capital expenditures and the number of dwelling units amortized over 10 years. So 120 months.
So there's, yeah, check the website. Government of BC has a website with lots of information on this and the more specifics and the application forms and some calculators as well.
Yeah, so I'm just going to actually put that up here.
Or you put that into the links.
Yeah.
Which I don't have that up right now in front of me.
Got it. Okay, so what else is new with you?
Well, you know, are we done here? Because the additional rent increase, there's one for capital expenditure, but there's also one for additional costs. For like if you have unforeseen costs, which could include financing. Did you not have that slide?
I do not have that slide.
Okay. No.
But I do have the link up there. So let's go to the link. Yeah, I think basically what they're doing is they're recognizing the fact that it is getting harder and harder to cash flow even positively on a rent right now.
Yeah.
So
yeah. But yeah, no, there is another way to standard rent increase, additional rent increase, repairs and maintenance. Find this. I was just looking at it, but anyway, there's more than one way to increase rent. There's capital expenditure. Oh, additional rent increase for expenses. Let's just talk about that really quickly because there's the two methods. So it allows landlords also to apply for an additional rent increase when the landlord has incurred a financial loss from an extraordinary increase in the operating expense of the residential property. The landlord has incurred a financial loss for the financing costs of purchasing the residential property if the financing costs couldn't have been foreseen under reasonable circumstances. I don't know if the more recent, rise in interest rates would be covered under that umbrella. The landlord as a tenant has received an additional rent increase for the same rental unit. So if you're subleasing to someone and you have incurred a rent increase, you can push that rent increase down to the lower subleased lessors. So those are some other things. There's also online, forms for application of that and calculators and so forth. Looks like there's actually an application fee as well. So that's something to keep in mind as well. It could overcome some of your anticipated benefit of even applying for it.
Right. So I misquoted. It was 3.5% for 2024, 2% for 2023, 1.5% for 2022, and 0% for 2021.
Okay. All right.
And it says 2% for 2020, but that's that was for the first 2.6%, but that was for the first 3 months, and then it was frozen. So it's I guess it's your perspective. Okay, so tell me what's going on. Do you have any new listings?
Got a new listing coming up on Garthland Road, which is in Esquimalt off Craigflower. Jane, I remember one of your early listings was Garthland, and you had some clients that were, I think they were designers, and they did a really neat renovation on that home. This is not that home, but it's a really great floor plan. This is one of those homes that was built in the early 70s, but it's not the BC box with the mid-level entry. It is a ground floor level entry on slab with a spiral staircase up to an upper floor that has 3 beds, two baths. There's a walk-in closet, an ensuite bath. Nice renovated kitchen. Newer roof, heat pump, big deck off the back, large yard with Gary oak trees and meadow kind of thing towards the back of it. Price is 1.150. Has a 1-bedroom suite down, complete ground level, full height, walk-in. So this is great for multi-generational family if you want to bring mom or dad in with you. So that's what's going live today. Should have it up this afternoon.
What's the address on Garthland?
904 Garthland Road. Going to do an open house this Sunday, 11 to 1.
Curtis Singh has a listing there.
Yes.
Yeah, doing a coordinated open house?
We are. Yeah, I've reached out to Curtis. We're both doing an open house same time, same date. Just did a big price reduction on the listing on Pandora Street. I've got a townhouse on Pandora Street. It's a unique offering because it's only 2 bedrooms, but it's over 1,400. It's over 1,400 square feet and has a big flex space down on the lower level off the garage. So would make a good rec room or office or workout gym kind of space. It's larger than a bedroom, and just a great little extra flex space. That price just dropped. I mean, we started at 789, went down to 750. We're now at 715,000. Called me yesterday and said, drop the price, let's get it sold. So 715, I think is great value for that space in that area. Single car garage with that home. And then we've got a home on Witchbury, still available. Again, a good multi-generational home. Going to do an open house this weekend there as well. In terms of buyers, I've got some buyers who definitely looking for something Oak Bay Fairfield, under 2 million, but possibly above, depending on the right home. That really, I mean, the criteria is not too old, not too new. Reminds me of that Berenstein Bears book, The Old Hat, New Hat. But we're looking for a family home. And so what's really important is there's a good connection to the interior, exterior. There's a really good space for raising children, preferably bedrooms on one level, but not necessarily. And, we're just waiting for the right one to come up. And when it does, we're hoping to, I've actually promised them, because Thursdays we tend to see more listings come up. I promised them that today would be the day we would find them a home. So I'm really hoping I can keep that promise. We're going to be watching those hot sheets carefully.
Oh, you're such a nice guy. Okay, well, I just listed it's actually half duplex, but it really is a single family home. What happened was they put a deck on the back and they added another home on the other side of the deck. So there's 2 decks in the middle of 2 houses on a property. It's on 5th Street. So I'm just pulling it up here. It's 2741 5th Street. It's 1,707 square feet, 4 bedrooms, two kitchens, 2 baths, and it's been on the market 1 day. We are doing an open house this weekend. So if you want to come on by, that one's priced at $925. And it's in a great neighborhood. It also has 2 decks, which is nice. So you can hang out on a front deck and watch people on the street. They have fully fenced front yard, or it has a back deck, which is great for privacy. And although the 2 decks are conjoined between the house, they don't, the lady in the back is apparently never there. So, and then Foul Bay, we just sold that for 1.1 full price, and Cedar, we have an offer.
Good for you on that. I drove past your one on Foul Bay and saw it. So you're now unconditional on it?
Yes, we are. Yeah.
Good. Congratulations.
Yeah.
I was curious about that price. It seemed like a good price for the area, even though that's a busy street. So
what was unique about that property was it had 2 backyards. So it allowed both people to have privacy, and then it had an outdoor studio.
2 backyards because there's a suite, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was a raised house.
Right. Okay. I'm just looking up your 5th Street property. It's just down below. I live not far from there. So yeah, that's an interesting one. I see the configuration is really interesting as well. Should go have a look through it. Beautiful little home.
Yeah. So the suite you can't see today, but you can see it tomorrow or Saturday.
Okay. Okay.
And I have somebody looking for a home. They've actually just discovered Esquimalt too. Originally, we were looking up in Cordova Bay, but I love Esquimalt, obviously, because I run a Facebook page called "I Love Esquimalt." But
Be
they're looking.
hypocritical if it was like, I hate Esquimalt, but I got to do this page.
So they're looking for something a little more modern. Around the corner from your listing, we were looking at a house that was built in the last decade, something like that, with a suite. They want a 2-bedroom suite, and they don't want to do any work. They've just done work on their place. Um, They are selling a house with a suite with 3 bedrooms up and a backyard in Saanich East, just off Saanich Road, which might work for your people.
Okay, send me info.
It's not. I have to find them a place. So, um, hmm, I have to
We'll
think about
talk.
that
We'll talk. We'll talk offline.
one.
Okay,
And then
so
I have people looking for a place in Machosen. Done. So, which is hard.
okay,
Anyway, they want privacy in a backyard.
okay. All right. So that's it, I think, for us today. What
If
else
you
can
guys have a topic you want or something like that, let us know because we're happy to present on topics of interest to you. If you have a question about
we're gonna
something in real estate,
yeah, we're going to show up here on Thursdays no matter what and just talk your ear off. So if there's something you'd actually rather that we talk about, then just give us some suggestions. We're happy to put it into the queue.
put it in the queue.
In the
All right.
queue.
So, Andrew, how do people reach you?
So I'm emailable. You can email me at info@andrewplank.com. I'm phoneable. You can phone me at 250-360-6106. I'm Instagrammable at Plank Andrew. And I'm on the web at andrewplank.com.
And he's huggable too.
I'm huggable.
All right, my name is Jane Johnston. I'm with the Briar Hill Group at Remax Camosa. You can reach me at 250-744-0775. My email is briarhillgroup@gmail.com. My website's briarhillgroup.com. How's that for branding? And you can watch these shows and more at victoriarealestateshow.com. And I'm also Instagrammable at realtyteacher_remax_Victoria.
Excellent.
All right, you guys have a great day and stay on the line, Andrew. I just want to talk to you about something. We will see you next week at 10:30. Bye.
Thanks, everybody. See you next week.